That's pretty obvious, kind of what I saw on tape. Thought the effort was great, especially defensively. Felt like they gave us a chance to win, especially there in the first half. Made a couple mistakes there in the second half we'd like to have back. Got beat on a scramble and a pressure. Got out of a rush lane and then had a busted coverage on a pressure. So a couple of those you'd like to have back, but overall, great effort and mentality. Offensively, I haven't been a part of many games that you go over 500 yards and only score 12 points. But it's glaring to see why. I mean, can't run a football efficiently, effectively, especially in short yardage situation. We're 0 for 4 on fourth down, critical situations, and a couple turnovers there, one in the red zone, and some fourth down stops. Pretty much told the tale. So we got to be much better. In those critical situations, be able to run the football, especially in the red zone. That's the reason why you have to kick 2 field goals. So in all, we have to obviously improve. We got to do a better job as coaches and players, making sure that we execute in those situations.
You did a terrific job getting turnovers the first couple of weeks of the season. Has that been a product of anything that you guys have done to practice to carry over to games?
I think part of turnovers is just everybody making routine plays, doing your job, being where you're supposed to be, hitting the pressures where they're supposed to be, to where you can get on a quarterback and force them to throw it quick, or when you're fundamentally striking and wrapping up, tackling, getting guys the ball, strips. I think that just goes with playing within the integrity of the defense and doing your job, making routine plays.
Well, obviously, I mean, you've had 8 turnovers now through 2 games, had 9 all of last season. Do you feel like that's something you can really sustain going forward?
Hopefully so. I think they've done a good job so far, and again, just got to keep building, keep growing, and just keep getting better. I mean, it's game 2 in this defensive system per se, and so still have a lot of room for improvements across the board as an entire team, and so just look forward to just continuing to build off the positives, keep getting better at our negatives, things we have to improve on. We got to make sure we get a week better. Just keep overall, you just keep putting in the work and keep preparing one day, 1 week at a time, and get prepared for the next week.
It seemed like you guys had some trouble with snaps last game. Had a couple that sailed on you and it looked like maybe you missed the snap count on one on that jet sweep. Was that something that gave you guys problems? Is it something you can look to correct going forward?
Well, obviously in a game, especially on the road, there's going to be some things. You got to be dialed into the snap count and the cadence. And a couple of times they kind of threw out a cadence, which as long as it's not simulating our snap count, it's free to do. And so we got to be a better job of locking into what our rhythm is and making sure, because those pre-snap penalties obviously hurt. And then we had two poor snaps, that one for a 30-yard loss, which you can't overcome, and I think another one for a 7 or 8 yard loss. So we got an experienced center. He does a heck of a job. He's one of our best players, and I think he's one of the best in our league. And so we all have things we got to improve on and continue to work on. We can't have those negative yardage plays in those situations.
You talked about struggling to establish the run game a bit and how that really hurt you guys in some of those short yardage situations. I mean, is there anything in particular you're looking at to sort of correct that?
Well, yeah, I felt like, we just got to do a better job getting off the ball and being physical through the tackles. I mean, I think up front we struggled at times with SMU. They're big, strong. They had some things to do with that as well. They were good up front, and I think we got to continue to just improve. I mean, and making sure that especially in those critical situations, you got your assignment and technique that you got to use. And again, we got to. It's not just on the players as well. We got to do better, coaches. I always say this: when we're not successful, and especially those critical situations, it's on everybody's execution, not just the players, the coaches. It's on all of our parts. So we got to get better together and figure out different ways we can improve in that area, because it hadn't been an issue this past year. We were great on third down, so and it hadn't been an issue through fall camp or any other situation. So it's one of those days we just didn't do a good job, and obviously we've dove into it, and obviously you have to self-evaluate and making sure that we're doing the right things, but ultimately it comes down to everybody's execution.
How healthy are you guys going into this game?
It's after game 2. You're gonna have some bangs here and there.
Well, that's your
anticipate
problem.
everybody being available, or is that something that's going to be determined later?
I don't know who you mean by everybody. I just know by everybody today, and so I don't know who you're talking about. Again, I'm never going to really talk a lot about injuries or if we're fully healthy or fully not, because no one really cares at the end of the day. It's your job to go out there, prepare, win football games. So whoever shows up on Saturday and is a part of our dress list and is out on that field, they're expected to make plays.
First time going into hostile territory with fans. Now that you've played a game at home and away, how much does it factor in the game now that you've gone into a stadium like SMU? How does that factor into any of the snaps?
I think, again, I'm one of those guys, once you kick the ball off and haven't played and haven't coached in this game a long time, obviously your home crowd brings a lot of energy. You're comfortable at home. It's kind of a known place. That's part of it. But to be honest, in my opinion, and this is just me, in my opinion, you kick the ball off, and after the first few plays, you don't hear much. Now you may hear in between the series or a big touchdown that you can feed off of, but it's still playing ball. It really doesn't matter where it's at. Obviously, we love playing here in front of our fans, in front of our students, alumni. They do a great job, and we can feed off that energy. But for the most part, it's kind of in between series and, big plays, and you can feel it when you're really on the sideline. When you're out making plays, it's not like you're hearing a bunch.
How about the productivity from your wide receivers the first 2 games of the season with Roger Burns being ranked top 10 nationally in receiving? How big has it been for wide receivers to kind of fill in that Jalen Darden-sized hole this season?
Well, I think last week the one thing we did come away offensively, I thought our vertical passing game was better, which is something we definitely needed to get going. I didn't think it was great the first game. Something we stressed this past week, and we were much better, and so that's a positive. We still got a lot of room for improvements, but Rod's been spectacular the first 2 games. He's made a lot of plays, and again, someone's getting the ball as well, and so I think some of that's just routine execution. I think we had a much better game obviously in the air this past game, but some of that too, man, is what they give you. It's kind of, you're going to have weeks to where you're going to hit big plays in the passing game, and there's going to be weeks to where, like the first week, you're going to have big days rushing the ball. And so I think some of it, what we do offensively, is you're going to take what they give you, and hopefully, again, the biggest thing you have to do offensively is execute within the critical situations, making sure you stay on the field and getting touchdowns.
This is obviously the start of conference USA play this week. As you enter league play, what's your impressions of Conference USA?
Well, obviously, I've always said there's a lot of great teams, great coaches, a lot of great players in this league. I know Coach Clark does an unbelievable job at UAB. They're one of the top teams. Obviously, they've won our league the last 2 out of the 3 years, and so they're the champs. And so obviously, it's a challenging game. I know we've had some battles here the last few years. And they do a great job. They're a very physical team. They're extremely tough. And offensively, they're going to pound the rock and formation you and big play action, get the ball downfield and try to hit explosive plays. But they do a great job. It all sets up with their run. They have great running backs, and their offensive line comes off, tight ends. They do a good job running the football. Defensively, they've been ranked nationally I don't know how many years. They do a great job defensively. They have athletic, twitchy guys that can really rush the passer. They're very aggressive and physical in their man coverage. When they do man you up, they force you to make competitive plays. Special teams are sound. They're a really good football team, and we understand that. We understand what's lying ahead of us, and so again, it's a game that we got to be extremely prepared this week and make sure that we build our mentality throughout the week in order to face a great team.
They're well known for having pretty strong defense all the time. You touched on that.
Mm-hmm.
Is that, with some of the offensive issues you guys had last week, does that make that much more concerning?
It's not concerning. It's who they are. They're a great defensive team. They're a great team overall. They play well off each other, and so you're going to play great defenses. And so It's part of the game. It's your job offensively to make sure, first and foremost, the coaches do a good job of game planning throughout the week, and we get them in those right situations. And then you got to make routine plays. And obviously, against this team, the biggest thing is the mentality and the physicality of the game, the toughness. I mean, each and every week, I mean, you're going to play good defenses, so that's just part of it, part of the game plan.
They lost Spencer Brown after last year, and it looks like they turned to 2 other running backs. What do those guys bring to the table? Are they similar players to Spencer?
Yeah, I think all of them have explosion. They can take it to the house at any point. You know, they do a good job with their run schemes, you know, mixing it up between outside zone, really getting downhill in their inside zones, gap schemes. And then again, it comes off those play actions when you start lowering those hats. But they got great vision, nice twitch, and, you know, they're physical. It's a product of their entire team. I think they're a very physical team. They all do it. It's not just one position. I think offense, defense, all of them at every position. It's their mentality, and they've done a good job of obviously coaching that up, and I think it's one of those teams that better be ready to play.
Their quarterback has shown, I mean, some pretty strong efficiency, at least through the first couple of weeks. Just what have you seen out of him?
Yeah, I think his accuracy obviously has been great. He's getting the ball to his playmakers in space, and again, you know, throwing some of the quick game stuff. They've been really good at utilizing that, especially on some early downs, and then again, being able to run that football and taking those shots, you know, he's been really good on the deep ball. And so, you know, that's something that obviously defensively you have to keep in mind and figure out a way to, you know, you got to make sure you end up stopping the run, you know, and hopefully, just like any defense would, like any defense does against us, try to make somebody left-handed, do the best you can, right? That's part of football, and so it's just challenging, though, because they have a lot of weapons. It's not only, obviously, their running backs, and they have weapons on the outside. You know, tight ends can really hurt you in the play-action game as well. They can run and get explosive plays. So you just got to play to the integrity of the defense and understand what they're trying to accomplish offensively and make sure that everybody has a job to do. And it's crucial that you lock in and focus on doing yours and trust the guy to your left and right to do theirs.
When Kyle came back this year after being in the portal for a while, how much has he helped you coming back this year?
I think just his leadership, you know, and a lot of, you know, he has a lot of experience, you know, playing. He's been here for a long time. He understands our program, and you know, he has a lot of game experience, and that's hard to take away because. You know, a lot of these young guys, talented guys that, you know, are ready to play ball. Sometimes the game experience you get in a game, and that's part of the nerves and jitters and just kind of figuring yourself out in those live situations. But a guy like him, he's an experienced guy that he's done a great job. He's very smart, picks things up very well, and so, you know, it's been great having him, and he's done a good job.
You know, another guy that's come back this year that's helped you out quite a bit is Jair Shorter. How much has that helped you guys to bring him back, and how much did he overcome to get back?
Well, obviously, you know, it was tough, challenging, you know, especially having an early season injury, not only the injury and the rehab and the school and all the things that go into being a college athlete with an injury and just trying to bounce back, but mentally, and it's, you know, you're wanting to be out with your teammates and playing. And he didn't get that opportunity this past year, but he worked hard. You know, I think it really kind of rejuvenated him and you know, allowed him to see his passion for the game and how bad he wanted to play and compete. And so, you know, in game one, to be honest, he kind of came out of fall camp a little bit banged up and kind of showed game one. I thought this past week he was a lot fresher and you know, we didn't play him as much game one, but felt like he did some really good things this past week as well as Rod.
Is he just a tough matchup, just because of his size and overall athleticism? Shorter.
Well, yeah, I think obviously he's a big guy that plays physical and he can run. There's no doubt about that. But again, he's another guy that you know, has a lot of game experience and he's made a lot of plays, and so I think with that brings confidence, understanding. You know, going out there and making your routine plays. You know, it's. I think that just comes with the time, and you know, he's been an explosive player for us in the past, and just getting back into the swing of things. I think the more comfortable he gets throughout the season, the better he'll get.